Disclaimer. All of the equipment by Moza Racing in this video was sent to me by Moza Racing for testing and review. I am affiliated with Moza Racing, however this has no effect on my opinion or what I say in this review. I do not receive money from Moza, nor does Moza have any influence on what is shown or discussed in this video. My opinions, thoughts and findings are my own. If you like anything that you see in this video and you want to purchase it for yourself, then please do use my affiliate links in the description. Thank you. Hi! To be honest, he raises some good points about Moza not being compatible with consoles. But he's wrong! Because now, there's a new one. There's no beating about the bush, and there is no sugarcoating it. Moza has brought a wheelbase to consoles. Well, I say consoles, I mean a console, for now. This is the Moza R3 bundle, a $399 Xbox compatible wheelbase, wheel and pedals. This is something the sim racing community has been begging for a very long time. And today, Moza are finally taking that step in that direction. Now this bundle shares a lot of characteristics with the R5 bundle. In the box, you get an ES wheel, but this one has been modified to have all of the Xbox buttons on it. Like the R5, you also get a desk clamp, the SRP light pedals, and you get a wheelbase, the R3. And this bundle is $100 less than the R5 bundle. So that makes this bundle Moza's most affordable setup. Couple that price with the desk clamp and you have a very competitive beginner's sim racing kit. And I thought for this review, instead of attaching it to my rig and, making it, seem all sturdy and everything like that, I figured since most people are going to be using this on their desk, why not do the same and see how it actually fares as a sim racing wheel for my desk? And so far, it's actually faring fairly well. In fact, despite it being only 3 Newton meters of torque, well, technically 4 Newton meters of torque, that low amount of power is still being a fairly difficult challenge for my desk. My desk is wobbling all over the place. There's still quite a hefty amount of power in this thing. But the R3 is holding up surprisingly well. One of the key differences with the R3, apart from the force feedback, it feels very appropriate to be driving around on a desk with this thing. Now, because I can be a cynical man at times, I did think that 5 Newton meters is the absolute lowest you should go for a direct drive wheelbase, where you can feel detail and still get a good feeling out of the wheel. I have to say, I have been proven sorely wrong, because even though, yes, it is lighter, it's only 1 Newton meter lighter. Or to be very precise for the people with adenoids, it's 1.1 Newton meters of torque. So it isn't that much less powerful. But I am very surprised to say, and this may be due to me using the ES wheel, that I can still feel detail, I can still feel what the car is doing, and I am pleasantly surprised. I am having a good time with this. Now the R3 bundle is yet another budget or entry-level entry to the sim racing market, and Moza knows this, which means that Moza also know that not everybody can afford big, heavy metal chassis where you attach your rig to. Majority of people will be on a desk. And yes, if you look here, the desk clamp is included in the box. But that's always been a thing since the R5. One of the things that has impressed me most when it comes to the whole bundle of things is just what they've added in extra. For example, the pedals. My biggest problem with the pedals is that they're not really built for not being attached to or screwed down to on a rig. What I mean by that is that if you've got your rig on your desk, the pedals tend to move around a lot because they're not anchored in place. Luckily, however, Moza has done something at least to try and combat that, and they're actually very good. Moza has decided to add these little things. Now, these don't look like much, but these are clear gel sticky pads that go underneath the pedal set. So if you're on a hard, smooth surface like I am in here, then these come in handy really, really well. It's a simple addition to the bundle, and actually makes a big difference. Now, it may seem rather arbitrary to add yet another wheelbase to the already large catalogue of wheelbases that Moza already has. This is Moza's 6th wheelbase. But looking at the context of how this is priced and what this wheelbase is, it is cheaper and more affordable. And I am all for more budget-friendly equipment, so it will gain more interest in more people that are interested or just want to get started in sim racing. I am all for that. And the fact that this is now Moza's most affordable bundle, coupled with the fact that Moza has made this available for Xbox, means even more people can get into sim racing. And it being Moza, quality is not sacrificed. The build quality of the R3 itself, unsurprisingly, is high. Aviation grade aluminium with a black anodized finish, and it feels really sturdy. The force feedback is light, but still crisp enough that I feel all the detail that I need. And when it comes to console, it's much of the same story. Moza has knocked it out of the park. It should be mentioned though that if you are going to plug it into either a PC or a console, there are different modes. One PC mode, one Xbox mode. If the RPM light is pulsing up from both sides, that means it is in Xbox mode. But if the whole thing is just flashing, it is in PC mode. To switch between the two, all you do is you just hold scenario 1 and scenario 2 together and it will change between the two. Now, I just want to demonstrate the sheer lunacy of just how small this thing is, okay? This is Moza's most popular wheelbase, the Moza R9, and by no means a large product, it's really small. Then we come to the R5, which is even smaller, and you'd think, how on earth do they get 5 Newton meters out of just this thing? And then comes the R3. It's so small! I know the B-roll footage doesn't exactly give it the best, sense of scale when it comes to this thing, but seeing it compared to the R5, this is the R5, and it looks massive compared to this. How small is it compared to the R9? I should mention that the R3 isn't just 3 Newton meters of torque, it's actually 3.9 Newton meters of torque. How? Now, the good thing about the R3 coming with the ES wheel is that Moza offer different kind of wheel rims specifically for the ES wheel. So you don't actually change the the electronics and components themselves, you just change the metal style rim. Because I also have a regular ES wheel right here. These are exactly the same wheel, except for this one is Xbox, but all that has changed is the metal wheel rim. And you've got all the controls mapped in a specific way. You can literally just plonk this on as well, if you so wanted. The only difference between the Xbox version of the ES and the regular ES, apart from compatibility, is the Xbox version comes with this hardened, squishy plastic thing. It's not rubber. I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels very nice and it feels very grippy, whereas the regular ES comes with faux leather. And if you were to get this wheel rim, this is rubber, so no need for gloves. Now, I am really glad that the ES wheel is the wheel that they've chosen for the R3 bundle. It's perfect for what it is, and I said this for my R5 review. It is a great all-round wheel for starting out. But the problem I found is, if you want to upgrade the wheel, you're going to have to be very selective. Obviously, to keep the costs down, the ES wheel is made with cheaper materials because it's entry level, and that makes sense. But what if you wanted to pair it with, say, the RSV2? Then we have a problem. I highlighted this problem when I was doing my R5 review, and if anything, the problem is amplified with this wheel because it is so light, or the force feedback is so light. You see, the wheel is so heavy, I cannot feel any force feedback whatsoever. It just feels like there's some resistance to it. The R3's power, or lack of power, can only do so much. Now, obviously, I don't expect people to be taking the RSV2 and pairing it with the R3, but if you are going to get another wheel rim for your R3, your options are limited, but there is still hope. Now, depending on what platform you're using your R3 on, you can get this. This is the FSR rim. It's small and it works great with any wheelbase. The biggest problem with this, though, is if you were going to go for this is Moza's most expensive wheel. At the moment, this will not work on Xbox, I should point out. This is a good little wheel rim. A rather unappreciated aspect of the R3 bundle is because of its size, it's so easy to store away. The wheel rim is small and the wheelbase is small. But what separates it from other budget entries is the fact that you can still take the wheel off the wheelbase, allowing it to be placed in much smaller spaces than it has any right to be. If you look back to the Logitech G923, you can't remove the wheel, the pedals are really bulky, and the whole unit itself, despite it being a great beginner's kit, it's not very good for storing. But there is one thing about this wheelbase which is truly incredible. Now, a criticism that I thought I was going to have, which means this isn't a criticism at all, but I thought I was going to be talking about the R3 as to why? Why do we need the R3? We already have the infrastructure for the R5. Why not make that compatible with Xboxes? And this is where Moza just basically told me, sit down. Now, I've seen a few reviews of the R3 and everyone seems to just gloss over this point like very quickly and very frequently, like it's not a big deal. Trust me, this is a big deal. You see, when it comes to the R3 and its compatibility with console, the data reading chip that allows the wheelbase to register with the console isn't in the wheelbase. It's in the steering wheel. The Xbox ES wheel is the component that carries the compatible Xbox reading chip. So why is this such a big deal? Well, if you look on the back of the R3 wheelbase, you'll see a load of different ports that connect all of the components. So the pedals, the shifter, the handbrake, and actually connecting it to the console itself. But so does the R5 and the R9 V2, and crucially, the R12. Because all of those wheelbases have the ports on the back to connect all of the components, that means if you have this steering wheel, the R3, the R5, the R9 V2, and the R12 are all console compatible. That's massive. But it all depends on you having this steering wheel. You have all been wanting Moza to be compatible with Xbox. They have been that all along. They've just been developing the wheel chip. That's just crazy. But as quickly as this is one of the biggest compliments I can give this bundle, this is also my biggest criticism. The Xbox compatible wheel is only available in the bundle. Come on! Now do not despair, because this means that Moza are actually going to be in development of Xbox compatible wheels. So in the upcoming months, you may find on the Moza store an FSR that's compatible with Xbox. And I should mention that I've seen some of the prototypes of upcoming wheel rims, and oh my goodness, if those are compatible with Xbox. But obviously the next step for Moza is PlayStation. If Moza can get a PlayStation license, you may just find that Moza will be the king of the sim racing market. I remember when I first received the very first Moza product that I ever got, which was the Moza R16, and it's the original RS wheel. People weren't gelling with that at the time. There were a lot of negative reviews about it. There was a lot of, just distaste towards it, but they went away and improved it. And the improvements made it fantastic. And I said in that video, if Moza keep up this progress with their development and improvements, they will be king of the hill in 2 to 3 years.
These guys are in the early stages of development with their DD wheel and technology, and they have already achieved so much so early on. And if this is what they've got so early on, what are they going to achieve in the next 2 or 3 years? I'm predicting in the not too distant future, Moza are going to be nearer the top of the game.
And you lot all laughed at me. We are coming up to almost 2 years when Moza first released. And look where they are now. They are pretty much king of the hill. I said it would happen!
In conclusion, I can 100% recommend the R3 bundle. But it is worth mentioning that there are a few caveats to that. Chief among which, as already brought up earlier, is wheel rims. What I think Moza need to focus on next with the R3 bundle is making wheel rims designed specifically for the R3 and the R5. Because yes, the ES wheel is perfect for this wheelbase. There is no denying that. However, that is the only wheel rim, with exception of the FSR, that works with these wheelbases flawlessly. All the other wheel rims within the Moza range are a little too big and are a little too heavy, so you don't get full detailed force feedback. And the problem with having the FSR as the only alternative to that is that is over $600, which is almost double the price of the entirety of the R3 bundle. So for the people at Moza who are watching this video, this is what I suggest. Design more affordable alternative wheel rims that work for the R3 and the R5. Because let us not forget that the ES wheel works with all of the wheelbases and is still a solid wheel to even the most powerful of Moza wheelbases. But other than that slight caveat, I can 100% recommend the R3 bundle. Despite it having a low amount of power, the console compatibility and the detail that you get when you use the ES wheel is fantastic. Coupled that with the really affordable price point, and you've got something that is what I would like to call the perfect beginner's entry-level kit to sim racing, and thus makes the R5 the ultimate premium entry-level beginner's kit to sim racing. If you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, and if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. And while you're here, why not go and check out my lovely sponsors over there on the left-hand side of the screen. Very sorry there hasn't been any review content on the channel for a little bit of time. I've just noticed I've left my camera on all night. Oh my goodness. The battery on that is probably fried now. Sorry, I've just... My Fujifilm DSLR that I use for my webcam, I've only just noticed I left on the entirety of the night. Whoops. Well, while you're here... Very sorry there hasn't been any review content on the channel for a while. Other things have got in the way, including Microsoft of all people. This review that you have been watching right now has been sitting ready to go and ready to be released since October last year. Thanks to Microsoft basically saying no more reviews until now. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching, and next review is going to be on the Camus C5, another budget entry-level direct drive wheelbase. But until then, you guys have a good night, and I shall see you guys in the next review. Have a good night.